Hello guys and welcome back to the F1 Tube YouTube channel and welcome to my 2019 Italian Grand Prix qualifying review. And my word, what shambolic scenes we have just witnessed at the Italian Grand Prix. What the heck was that, honestly? In such a professional sport, we just witnessed just utter lunacy from the teams and drivers. Knowing how powerful the tow is around Monza, everyone on their second runs in Q3 were driving so slowly just not to be at the front, and in the end, 8 out of the 9 drivers that were participating at the end of Q3 did not make the checkered flag, and what a shame it really was. Let's have a look at the qualifying results, and Charles Leclerc is on pole for Ferrari's home event at Monza. Ferrari on pole for the second year in a row at the Italian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton was under 4/100ths behind Charles Leclerc, with Bottas even closer to Hamilton in third place. Sebastian Vettel finishes in P4 and was very much disgruntled about that. Danny Rick P5 and Hülkenberg P6. A great day for Renault with Carlos Sainz in P7. Then Albon and Stroll did not complete a lap in Q3, as well as Kimi Räikkönen, but it was a self-inflicted incident as he crashed. But to be honest, it was just a mess in Q3. Now, the bottom half. We have Giovinazzi in 11th, Magnussen in 12th. Then we have Kvyat, Norris, Gasly, Grosjean, Perez, Russell, Kubica and Verstappen. Charles Leclerc, like I said, is on pole for Ferrari at Monza, and to be honest, there's not much to say about him. He just did his job. He did have the benefit of the tow, but with all the variables aligned, he did what he needed to do. But Sebastian Vettel, well, that's another tale. He was at the front of the pack for Q3, so he had no tow, and considering he had no tow, it was actually a very good lap. But on the second run, like every other driver almost, he missed the cut. But Ferrari are in a good position to win tomorrow, but we don't know what's going to happen with the weather and just how it could play out. But their race pace definitely isn't as bad as it was last week, or as inferior to Mercedes' race pace. Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas completed the top 3, and they did very well, I feel, to get as close as they did to Charles Leclerc. In the corners, especially like the Ascari chicane and the Lesmos, they have so much pace over Ferrari, but with the long straights, they're almost a sitting duck to them. But they can also win tomorrow. You cannot rule Mercedes out, and I was never expecting them to be on pole at Monza, but I was really surprised of how close they have been to Ferrari on one lap pace this weekend. After the red flag at the beginning of Q3, it looked like Valtteri Bottas did not complete his lap, but about 3 minutes later, his lap popped up on the time screen, and with how things fared out later in the session, it was vital that he got the lap in. What is it about Renault at certain power circuits? They were ultra fast at Canada, they were very competitive at Silverstone, and they are 5th and 6th at Monza. I just cannot believe it. What is it about their car? It's just weird and unpredictable. But Ricciardo P5, Hülkenberg P6, a very good day for Renault. In Q1 they were like flipping 3rd and 5th, and they were very close to the front runners, but they were never going to be on pole. But a very pleasant surprise for the Enstone team. Quite simply, Alex Albon did not complete his lap before the red flags were brought out on the first run, and he just got caught up in the mayhem on the second run. Max Verstappen, well, he was going to start from the back anyway, and when he went out for an out lap at the end of Q1, he reported of power issues. So not the greatest sign for Verstappen, but he could still very much in the regulations go for another engine. So it's not like he was going to not take the penalty. It's not the worst day for Verstappen, but you know, I'm sure he would like to have competed in Q3. Carlos Sainz was the only driver to make it past the checkered flag in the Q3 mayhem, but he could only maintain P7. Lando Norris, I can't really judge him because he helped Carlos Sainz out. He was used as a tow, and he's starting from the back of the grid anyway, so he was just kind of helping McLaren out. Nothing for his benefit. Now, I have been really critical of Lance Stroll, and deservedly so, for his qualifying performances in 2019, but today he hooked it together. In Q1, he did seem to have the edge over Sergio Perez, who broke down in Q1, and even then, Stroll was ahead of him, so you can't really say that Stroll would have finished behind Perez because Stroll was really competitive in qualifying today. He didn't post a lap time in Q3, but at least he's starting in the top 10. Plus, Sergio Perez reported of an engine failure as the cause of his car breaking down and retiring from the session. I haven't got an official confirm yet, but I'm suspecting it's an engine failure. Considering how the Renault-powered cars of the factory team Renault and McLaren did, I think Alfa Romeo will be disappointed. Firstly, Kimi Raikkonen crashed in Q3, so self-inflicted. You can't really blame the team. He could have been competitive, we'll never know, but he had not the biggest smash into the final corner, that is the Parabolica corner, but enough for what I believe will be a gearbox change for tomorrow's race. But Antonio Giovinazzi missed out on Q3 by a mere 2/1000ths of a second, so close. Let's keep it very brief. Toro Rosso have just not had the pace, and Kvyat got one over on Gasly in qualifying. Haas have not operated fantastically this weekend, and in qualifying they just weren't great at all, were they? Romain Grosjean was knocked out in Q1, very close margins, but at the end of the day, he was knocked out in Q1. K-Mag was very apologetic over the team radio at the end of Q2 as he qualified P12. I feel like he thinks he could have got more out of the car, but P12 is not a bad qualifying position, and with Raikkonen seemingly going to take a penalty for tomorrow, he's in a decent chance of scoring points, but then again, that Haas car is not exactly the greatest on race day. Finally, Williams, they qualify 18th and 19th, obviously, with Verstappen, his engine penalty and his problems. Russell out-qualified Kubica by 0.6 of a second. Kubica is really struggling this season, and you'd think he would have adapted to the car by now. I'm not saying he hasn't, but he's so far off George Russell, and he really has just not been at the Brits level this season. Now, if you're guessing, or if you want to guess who I'm blaming for the Q3 farce, I'm going to blame each and every one of the drivers and teams. They all caused this situation. None of them wanted to go out first. They all were trying to relinquish track position and get the toe, and they all completely mucked it up. So I'm blaming each and every one of them. I'm not saying they should get a penalty, but they are the reason for this farce. But hopefully Formula 1 shows tomorrow that it's not a joker sport. I mean, I didn't think we could get more of a farce than we had in the F3 qualifying this weekend last night, but somehow we did. Can I just quickly say, Juan Manuel Correa, my thoughts and wishes are with you. I wish you a very stable recovery. I've heard of the terrible things he's enduring at the moment, and I hope he can come back fighting, so I wish him all the best. And secondly, Peroni. Oh my goodness, he had a horrific crash in the F3 race this morning, and because of that the FIA removed the sausage curb that was at the end of the Parabolica corner, and you can see why, as it really did provoke this accident. But yeah, I think reflecting on today, and when we go into next week reflecting on this weekend, F1 has a lot to learn from, and I hope we do not have a repeat of this. But guys, that is it for today's video. Please like this video, comment down below what you thought of the qualifying farce, and please subscribe to the F1 Tube YouTube channel. But until next time guys, see you later.